And with more on recent developments in Israel is news anchor Lital Shemesh, who joins us now. Did I have that name right? Did I pronounce your name properly? Good morning to you.
Having me.
Good. I guess you're ahead of us. Can you talk a little bit about the aura right now? Give us the atmospherics. Paint that out broad stroke for people who here in the United States who don't have to live it like you do.
Yeah, so we're 2 weeks after this war has started. Israel haven't gotten any signal about the 212 hostages that are being held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. We're talking about babies, elderly people, women, children. Hamas is not giving any information about their condition and about their situation. Meanwhile, the U.S. has entered dozens of trucks, humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip from Egypt, allowing the Palestinian people to get some humanitarian aid. And I'm asking, not just the U.S., I'm asking the entire world, we're not getting any information about our hostages in the Gaza Strip. The Red Cross is doing nothing, the UN is doing nothing, and we're crying to get any source of information to get back our men, women, children, babies. I'm talking about infants who are being taken by Hamas terrorists into the Gaza Strip. And I think the whole world should wake up and speak up for Israel. We've seen President Biden coming to Israel. We've seen the Prime Minister of England, Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of Italy was here on Saturday night, Giorgia Meloni, and I think the entire world should wake up and understand what we're facing with.
Is it fair to assume that these hostages are probably in harm's way somewhere? I mean, isn't that the plan, is to have friendly fire create even more a public relations nightmare for Israel?
The thing is, we don't really know what was their condition in the first place when they were taking hostages, because you could see in the horrific videos that Hamas was publishing, they've wounded a lot of people, beheaded some people, they've injured people, they've tied up babies and little children. So we don't know the conditions of many of those hostages. Some were being wounded in the party, in the music festival. Some were being wounded as their houses were being turned into dust, literally lit up in fire. So I think the world should understand that we have no information. Some of them need medication. And the world is trying to differentiate between the Palestinians and the Hamas who is actually ruling in Gaza. And I have to tell you, Paul, for so many years, I believed in peace. I was taught to believe in peace. When I was young, my parents told me, when you'll be 18, you don't need to go to the army because we'll have peace. This was the notion here in Israel. But after the October 7th, when I see Gazan people, Palestinian people, rampaging the fence, rampaging our houses, towns, lighting up in fires, Israeli innocent civilians' towns, torturing bodies that Hamas has been dragged all the way to the Gazan street. After seeing what the Palestinian people were doing to our men and children, chanting in the street, cheering in the street, handing out candies, I am so sad to say that I don't believe in peace anymore, and I don't think we should differentiate between the Palestinians and Hamas, who is controlling the Gaza Strip.
And that's where I want to go with this, because you see the Hollywood left, you see the Ivy League left. It's almost as if October 7th didn't even happen, and now does Israel have a moral obligation now to fight with Queensberry's rules? I mean, I would argue that now, you didn't start this fight, but you can end it, right?
I 100% agree. 100% agree. We have a moral obligation to bring back security to our men and women. And you've touched, Paul, the point of having elite universities in the U.S. allowing students to go and do riots, supporting rallies in Hamas, supporting rallies of what the Palestinians just did. Is this what you're teaching your young kids? Is this what you're teaching your students, to support a terror group, a terror organizations who just butchered 1,400 innocent Israeli civilians? This is not a war between two countries. This is terrorists who entered our country and butchered people in their beds, who butchered 20 years old, 30 years old, who was just celebrating and dancing in a music festival. How on earth Harvard University and Yale University are allowing people to speak up and to support Hamas and to support the Palestinian Authority? It's the same as you allowing people to hand out candies in the university in Harvard after 9/11.
Right.
Would you allow? No. I'm just outrageous with what is happening in universities.
I think a lot of people shake their head, and it's like boom, like clockwork. It was out. Besides being a former military member, you're also somewhat of an expert when it comes to social media. And my last question to you is, this is more than just a battle with guns and bullets. It's also, as of watching things unfold on TikTok and on Instagram, it's a social media battle for hearts and minds. Explain to me why that is such a big part of what we do now when we make war in 2023.
You're right. The war on consciousness is actually the true battlefield. And the Palestinians are being spreading lies about what is happening. You just seen the recent incident of them launching a rocket on Israel, a rocket that fell actually on a Palestinian hospital in the Gaza Strip. The New York Times, the BBC published that Israel bombed that hospital. And this morning, the New York Times has published an apology that they were they were wrong, but the damage was already done. You know, the damage was already done, and people are spreading lies. And I have to say, they're also outnumbering us. You have dozens of Muslim countries surrounding the only democracy in the Middle East, and we're such a tiny country with only 10 million people. So social media-wise, they are bombarding the net with videos. They're reporting on Israeli pages. My Instagram page was also taken down for 24 hours because of Arabs bombarding my page. And I think that's also something that Facebook needs to take into consideration, that Instagram, TikTok, you have to help us fight the fight, because we're actually the Western democracy who's sharing the same values as you do, as the same as the entire free world. And we have to fight all the terror and all the incitement that goes on online media.
Tal, we've kept you longer than we were supposed to. I apologize for that. Thank you so much for chatting with us. Perhaps another conversation down the road, okay?
Thank you both for having me. Thank you.
Have a safe day.